Yo, I just want to give a big old thanks to the new subscribers that I actually managed to get recently. I'm pretty surprised and very grateful. I hope your holiday season is going fantastic, by the way. And I'm sure you're like me and you're down to get spooky no matter the time of the year. Now, I know the topic of Thanksgiving can be quite controversial considering the very brutal and horrible origin of the holiday. I know for many of us, we grew up believing this absolutely crazy myth that the pilgrims and the natives got together for this enormous feast to initiate peace between the two groups. However, that was a big fat lie, and it was actually in fact the opposite, as the colonizers were very violent and brought many new diseases and illnesses that were fatal and just damaging to the native population, all while stealing their land. For those who protest any kind of celebration, it is considered and observed as the National Day of Mourning, but for a lot of us, it has become a day that we get together with our families and our loved ones to celebrate and give our thanks, all while getting overly stuffed and super shit-faced. Cheers. And today, I felt like doing a double feature. Just stuff you real good and real nice with some cheesy schlocky goodness, like the sexy turkey that you are. It was also pretty hard to choose between a movie. It's like, choosing between pumpkin pie and pecan pie, but instead you get like a little tiny sliver of both, despite feeling like disgusting, just piece of shit after hours of engorging yourself on food. Probably went too far there. Also, though, why not watch a whole bunch of possible descendants of colonizers just get killed and brutalized in the most ridiculous and hilarious ways possible? Seems like a good way to celebrate. The two movies today that I will be talking about are 1981's Home Sweet Home and 1987's Blood Rage. They both are indeed Thanksgiving slashers, and boy, am I grateful for their existence. I will be covering them in chronological order, therefore I will be starting with Home Sweet Home. Home Sweet Home seems like a movie that was created by the worst improv group known to man. And I say this because there are a couple of characters that just seem way too insane to have really been conceived and written down on paper. Essentially, without spoiling too much too soon, the film utilizes the, at this point, overused and at most times problematic trope of escaped mental patient goes on killing spree storyline that was made famous by movies like The Cat and the Canary and more famously Halloween. This trope was also used in a similar manner during the first season of Tales from the Crypt for the episode And All Through the House. However, that one is Christmas themed and actually pretty scary and effective. But let's dig right into this turkey. It is, of course, the day of giving thanks. A partly cloudy day in LA. And this guy right here, he's celebrating by day drinking alone in his car while simultaneously reading the newspaper and listening to the radio. Not sad at all. But just as he's being a thoughtful dude and offering a beer to this stranger rapidly approaching his vehicle, he gets choked to death by this roided out Lou Ferrigno-looking ass dude. And no, it's not because he offered him shit beer. It's because he is the escaped mental patient. Yep, and his name is Jay Jones, and he's high on that PCP. He's so out of his mind that he injects the PCP like straight into his tongue. And I'm not someone who does drugs, but I do feel like there are probably better ways to inject it, I mean, I would think there were less strange ways to consume it. Before moving on to the next scene, though, it is important to note that Jay Jones is played by Jake Steinfeld, who is a bodybuilder and personal trainer known for his Body by Jake brand. Whatever you know, whatever you feel, got to let it show. But yeah, Jay Jones right here, he's foaming at the mouth and high on PCP and ready to fucking kill. And to satiate his urge, he runs over this young woman dressed as Granny from the Looney Tunes cartoons. I love this useless, like, split-second reaction from this chick. Like, imagine this is the role you get cast as in the film. But now we start to meet our poor unsuspecting victims. First we meet Scott and Jennifer, who are on their way to Scott's friend slash landlord Harold Bradley's Thanksgiving celebration. Scott happens to live upstairs from Bradley.
But you'll like him. And I think you'll find his son quite amusing, or at least different.
Well,
either this is bad ADR, or these guys are awesome ventriloquists. But anyway you put it, this kid they're talking about, Bradley's son, he's my favorite character. His name is Mistake. And look at him, marvel at him in all his glory.
Mistake, I told you to shut that damn thing off! I'm gonna kill you!
Now we're off to a great Thanksgiving. Bradley enters the kitchen, needing another beer. You know, he needs to calm his nerves and forget the mistake he made years ago. And this is while his girlfriend Linda, daughter Angel, and Linda's friend Gail are preparing the feast. But I guess all this preparing got her feeling a bit, hot and worked up, because Linda proceeds to seduce Bradley in front of what I assume is their small child.
get your mind off.
I personally feel like I can't get horny on Thanksgiving. Like, that doesn't seem possible, Like, one, there's no time. Like, you gotta get up at the crack ass of dawn, start preparing, start cooking dinner. By the time you're done, you gotta host, you gotta entertain, all that jazz. And before you know it, you're in bed with cramps, slipping into a food coma. Where do you find the time to get horny? Tell me. As Bradley and Linda are attempting to make a mistake of their own, Scott and Jennifer are also getting frisky right in front of their friend's house in broad daylight in a top-down convertible type car thing. But here comes my man Mistake, looking like if Zoolander decided to become a rock and roll mime instead. See, Scott don't take too kindly to this though. He gets up and he starts to chase Mistake.
I'm gonna kill you!
Who then enters his father and stepmother's room, interrupting their gross foreplay. Now Linda gets up and starts chasing Mistake, and we're only 11 minutes into the movie and 3 different characters have chased this guy around the property, threatening to end his life.
Rock and roll forever.
I'm gonna rub that car on your head until you're dead!
This guy, he's an issue, but I'm here for it. Then we get to meet the last of our guests, Wayne and Maria. You see, Maria is another wacky guitar playing character. For some reason, they felt that this movie needed 2 of those. Linda comes in and joins the group, and everyone just reiterates how much they want to see Mistake dead.
Really?
Definitely.
Bury him deep.
Maybe I can slip some arsenic in his soup.
I don't know how this guy has survived this long. Linda and Gail had forgotten to buy some wine, so they decide to borrow Scott's car and go grab some.
When I get my hands on that little twit, I'm gonna murder him.
Yep, again, these characters just cannot seem to stop talking about wanting to see Mistake die at their hands. Meanwhile, after Jay is done cleaning his car of the old lady blood and laughing at the bloody rag he used to do so, he spots the 2 and decides he's going to drive in the direction of the Bradley's crib, where he then shuts off their power. Bradley turns on the emergency generator, but he realizes he needs more gas and needs to head to the gas station to get some more. As he is on his way though, he is blocked by this vehicle, the one that was stolen by Jay, and assumes the car is abandoned. So he attempts to siphon the gas from it as well as steal the car battery. But as he's doing so, he's killed by Jay in what is both a hilarious and underwhelming kill scene. That's the whole scene. Meanwhile, Mistake, he's being an absolute nuisance. While Maria and Wayne are openly making out, he incessantly keeps interrupting them with some sick guitar shredding.
Want something a little stronger than beer?
Yeah, 357 Magnum.
I love how Mistake either makes people want to brutally murder him or to unalive themselves. Mistake is bonding with little sister Angel and playing with these magic balls, and Angel seems to like really tolerate him. In fact, she actually loves him.
I love you.
I mean, at least for now. I assume by third grade she's gonna want to kill him like everyone else. Angel is played by Vanessa Shaw, who is active today. She would later star in Hocus Pocus as Allison, which would be her breakout role. Linda and Gail are lost and having some car issues of their own, and the rest of the guests are getting concerned. Wayne decides that he's gonna go out and he's gonna investigate. But unbeknownst to him, Jay is in the backseat of his car, high on PCP, and chokes him out. Mistake takes Wayne's absence as his opportunity to make a move on Maria. And Scott? He's trying to sneak in a pre-dinner bang under the guise of showing Jennifer his apartment. And he's real proud of this apartment. I mean, he has not one, but 2 King Kong posters. My theory, though, is that this isn't even really an apartment. Like, because they, like, only show them from this weird close-up angle. While Scott points out that there are rooms that, you know, that apartments typically have in them.
Kitchen back there, bathroom over here. And over here we've got the bedroom.
Linda and Gail get pulled over for speeding by 2 pervert cops.
Did you see the chick with the big bazooms?
But then the car gives out and they decide that they have to trek it back on foot. Of course they never get back and are subsequently attacked and killed by Jay. At least that's what I assume is going on since these scenes are literal darkness. The rest of the group, though, they decide it's getting late and they're gonna start dinner when Mistake gets cranberry sauce on Maria's blouse.
She is so Latin, I don't believe it.
Excuse me? What is that supposed to mean, huh? Jennifer, what about Jennifer if I told you that you are too white, huh? How would you feel about that? Anyway, Maria is the next to go. After Jay lures Mistake and her about 50 feet away from the ranch before stabbing her right in the booby stab. To be honest, I'm shocked she lasted as long as she did. For a movie made in the early 80s, the token character is usually the first to go. Mistake is also then killed in like the nearby barn area. I was very sad about that. At least though, he had the most creative kill scene of the whole movie. I feel like he went out like he would have liked, you know, with pizzazz, like a rock star, like a mime rock star. Scott stumbles upon Maria's body, and both he and Jennifer believe that Mistake is responsible. And then the generator finally gives out. This movie kind of drags for the next 10 minutes or so. Lots of additional dark scenes where you can't make anything out. Scott and Jennifer are sitting by the fireplace with Angel and making the small child feel very uncomfortable. That is until Angel asks to use the bathroom. While Scott is accompanying Angel to the bathroom, he is attacked by Jay. But despite me having beef with Jennifer, she actually comes through here like a down-ass bitch for Scott and stabs Jay in the back. This scene is great though because Scott grabs Jennifer and kind of books it, completely leaving the small child behind. He only attempts to go back to get her when Jennifer insists, but then he's killed. That's what you get for trying to save a small child. Jennifer kind of gives up on the idea of trying to save Angel as well after this and books it herself. Should have kept that same energy before. She goes upstairs to Scott's apartment and finds a crawl space to hide in until the morning, when she believes that it is safe to make her escape. But surprise, surprise, Jay is still alive. Barely. He seems to be stumbling around. The stab wound affected him to some degree, but he's been going for hours, so you know, gotta be that PCP. The cops do come after finding Angel wandering around on the highway, and they save Jennifer. And it's just an odd scene because they keep looping this terrible scream.
Drop the knife! Drop it! Drop it!
But tell me how dude is still alive. He could barely stand up before, but survived getting shot multiple times by the police. It's like this movie's almost like trying to make PCP seem tempting. Like, sure, you might go on a murderous rampage. However, you will be able to survive what would normally be a fatal situation. But that's the end of the movie. And I'm hoping you got a little bit more room inside of you, because the next one, it's a movie. 1987's Blood Rage is mwah. It is chef's kiss. Much like Home Sweet Home, Blood Rage does not have a masked killer. You know who's killing from the jump. The budget is clearly much higher than the previous movie. And if I had to describe the vibe, it is as if cocaine were in horror movie form. This movie plays on the evil twin trope as well as the escaped mental patient trope, but that one is played much differently than it was in Home Sweet Home. But let's dig right in, because I know you're salivating for some more. I can hear the tummy rumbles, and I got just what you need. We're at a drive-in in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's sometime in 1973. This movie that they're showing was released that year. It was also co-written by John Grismer, who directed this movie, so nice little Easter egg. We do get a nice small cameo from Ted Raimi as a freelance condom salesman. He has a nice large variety of condoms to choose from, as you can see. And obviously he is making good business, since everyone here is down to fuck and smoke weed, but mostly DTF. Even Maddie, who is on a date with this very fashionable dude. Problem is, though, her twin sons Todd and Terry are asleep in the back of the car. But as soon as she proceeds to suck face, the boys awake and decide to make an escape from the vehicle. Terry finds his tomahawk conveniently in the back of someone's car, and he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna kill. I think I'm just gonna kill someone. You know, I'm gonna kill that guy right there. The guy having sex in back of his car. These people are fully naked, by the way. Like, why pay for the drive-in at that point? Just find a secluded place. You're less likely to be murdered by an evil twin with a tomahawk, and it's free. So that's a bonus, you know? Terry pins the murder on Todd despite there being so many witnesses, and the fact that Todd only has a bloody handprint on his face as opposed to Terry, who is drenched in blood. However, this results in him getting sent to an institution. Then 10 years pass by, and it's Thanksgiving Day, and Maddie decides to visit Todd. And first she has a talk with Dr. Berman. You see, Todd apparently had forgotten much of what had happened the decade prior up until recently, and is now revealing that Terry is the one who was responsible for the murder. Maddie isn't about that. She's like, no, not. Shh. Cut to Terry though, and he's living his best life, playing football with his girlfriend Karen and best buds Artie and Greg, ogling his new neighbor Andrea, who has some very hard nipples, while some ominous music plays in the background.
Your mom invited us for Thanksgiving tonight, and we would both be just...
But things are about to change, you see, because during Thanksgiving dinner, Maddie and her new man Brad announced their engagement. And this seems to trigger Terry. But you know how you know something's real off with dude? Because when he proposes a toast, he does it with milk. That's right, fucking milk. A red flag if you ask me, and no one at the table seems to care or notice. That's not all though, because Maddie also receives a call from the institution telling her that Todd has escaped and he's on his way to the apartment complex, most likely. This causes Maddie to unravel from here on out, and of course gives Terry some ideas since his homicidal ideations have conveniently begun once again. Dr. Berman and her assistant Jackie arrive to the apartment complex to search for Todd. Meanwhile, Terry starts his rampage, and his first victim is Brad. He chops off his hand, which is tightly grasping a beer still, but that's not even my issue. My issue is Terry is waving a machete at Brad, who doesn't seem a tad bit alarmed.
Well, look what the cat brought in.
Terry doesn't waste time either though, because his next victim is Jackie, whom he also kills with the machete. And this is after Jackie offers him a hit of that sweet, sweet reefer. And that's just rude if you ask me. What's with these dudes? First Jay with the beer, Terry with the fucking joint. So Maddie is coping by stuffing her face with leftovers on the kitchen floor, much like me at 3 a.m. on Black Friday after having a little bit too much wine. Dr. Berman is the next to go, and her murder is probably both the funniest and most surprising one. I honestly felt like she was built up to be a much more important character, a major one, that she might make it to the end. You know, the final showdown. Terry then decides he's gonna clean up a bit before, you know, continuing his murderous rampage.
It's not cranberry sauce.
Terry meets up with Andrea, neighbor with the hard nips, who's babysitting for another neighbor, Julie, who is currently out on a date. Andrea offers him a beverage.
Tomato juice and vodka.
Just tomato juice.
Sure?
Okay. You see, this is where I draw the line. I know I was outraged by milk, but you know, I got past it. I was able to rationalize it a little bit more. But tomato juice? No. I draw the line there. That's unhinged. No one just drinks straight tomato juice. That's not normal behavior. Terry's girlfriend, Karen, is looking for his crazy tomato juice drinking ass, but instead runs into Todd, who has recently arrived at the apartment complex. She mistakes him for Terry at first.
I'm Todd.
Terry's brother? Oh my God.
She runs off and alerts Greg and Artie, the friends from earlier. After they find Terry, they're like, yo, dude, that crazy ass bro of yours, he is here. We saw him. And then Terry's like, what? That's what? I gotta go find him. So just don't follow me though. Julie, the neighbor, is back from her date with this guy Bill, who looks like he escaped from the pages of a Dr. Seuss book. I mean, look at him. Unfortunately though, dude is killed by Terry as Julie is changing into her very saucy lingerie. And I'm pretty impressed with this kill, because not only does Terry not make a mess or any noise while decapitating Bill, he also manages to hang his head from this makeshift macrame hanger in mere minutes. He's like a homicidal Martha Stewart, so props. Meanwhile, while this action is going on, Maddie is plastered on wine, mistaking Todd for Terry when he enters the house. Also repeatedly trying to contact the very dead Brad by phone and arguing with the operator, even though she could just literally walk over to where Brad is because they're on the same property. Everyone else, though, they're at Andrea's and they're drinking tequila, playing Atari, but eventually they do split up after Andrea and Greg play a trick on Artie and Karen. And they're like, yeah, man, grimy. That's fucked up. Let's bounce. Andrea and Greg, though, they go play tennis in this completely pointless scene and then end up having sex on a diving board, which you would think they would instead do that on the presumably more comfortable bed at Andrea's empty apartment. But Terry comes through and he's all like,
You stop that.
Terry then reconnects with Karen. I'm guessing all that killing got him all turned on. He's feeling a bit hot because he takes a little break to try to get it on with Karen, though their session is interrupted after Todd finds Artie and makes him take him to Terry at gunpoint. Todd himself, though, total beta male move. But I assume that this is supposed to show that, oh, Todd and Terry are complete opposites. Terry, though, he's like, yo, this dude need to be stopped. And Artie is like, word. So they go off and chase him down. Artie runs into Terry's kill kit on the bridge. Despite the other large deadly tools in this kit, he seems to be drawn to this carving fork the most at first. Guys, do you remember what day it is? Artie is then murdered after inspecting the machete.
It's not cranberry sauce, Artie.
It's Thanksgiving. Karen finds Terry, and it doesn't take long for her to figure out who the real evil twin is. After running around the complex looking for the others and for some help, she then stumbles upon Julie's baby, which, you know, she then brings along with her to this very brightly lit pool area and, you know, just stops. All the while, Maddie finds a bloody shirt in the trash can and Brad's propped up corpse, and she still believes that Todd is responsible for everything. After Terry arrives at the pool, Karen just haphazardly tosses the baby in a cabinet, unsuccessfully evades Terry, and runs into Todd all in time for the final showdown. I mean, I wouldn't really call it a showdown because Terry just tosses Todd into the pool and they splash around a little bit. And then Terry gets shot in the face a few times by Maddie. You would think that this moment would be like kind of a moment of just not only them grieving, but also a new chapter in their life. They're gonna move on, they're gonna heal, things are gonna get better. But no, Maddie believes that she killed Todd and is speaking to Terry.
It's just us, Terry.
This causes Todd to kind of have this meltdown, and then Maddie, after realizing what she has done and everything that has happened, decides to, in a surprising twist, unalive herself. The end. It's a nice, feel-good Thanksgiving movie for the whole family to enjoy. I hope y'all feeling nice and stuff from all that turkey. But I'm not done just yet, because it's time for dessert, some short, sweet thoughts. Now, reviews for these movies are much like a lot of reviews for movies that I watch. People hate how incredibly stupid these movies are, or they love how incredibly stupid these movies are. For instance, these are two bad reviews for each movie that I found on IMDb. One thing is for certain though, you will occasionally find a review where someone is comparing the two movies, solely for the fact that these are both Thanksgiving slasher movies that came out in the same era. Now, there does seem to be some divisiveness though. When you do find these reviews, it's all Blood Rage versus Home Sweet Home, and I don't think that's fair. In my opinion, I feel like what one lacks, the other makes up for. Blood Rage has the better score. It has better kill scenes. Overall, it's a much sonically and aesthetically pleasing movie than Home Sweet Home. But Home Sweet Home has better characters. And no, I don't mean that they're masterfully written, deep characters. I mean they're more entertaining.
Ooh, let's get it on, baby. The show's yours.
And arguably, I would say Home Sweet Home has a better killer. And I will get into that in a second. Now, despite Terry being iconic and having this catchphrase that people quote,
It's not cranberry sauce.
and also Mark Soper being a much better actor than Jake Steinfeld, I do feel like they messed up with his character because he was written as a character that needed more of an explanation as opposed to Jay Jones, who doesn't need a backstory. This is something that's not really necessary for all villains in horror movies. For instance, you have the very iconic Billy from Black Christmas, who is this faceless killer that succeeds because you don't know much about him, and that's what makes him so fucking scary. He's based on that babysitter and the man upstairs urban legend. Now, don't get me wrong though, I'm not saying that these two movies are on par with each other or that Jay is a genius villain, because Bob Clark's Black Christmas is an actual groundbreaking slasher film. Billy is known for starting all of these tropes that have become canon in the slasher genre. He predated Michael Myers. My point more lies in, when you watch Home Sweet Home and you see this over-the-top jacked maniac shoot PCP into his tongue and find and kill some random family he has no connection to, you don't really feel like you need more from him or to know more about him or his motivations. In fact, if this movie took itself more seriously, it could have been a pretty effectively scary horror movie with just that kind of character. This isn't so much the case with Terry. They do show us in the beginning Terry and Todd as children when Terry at first framed Todd for his murder. But to be honest, that just doesn't answer anything. It raises more questions for me. Because has Terry shown signs before that in terms of being an evil twin? Because eventually, at some point, he does end up killing or attempting to kill those who are close to him. The only person he doesn't have an interest in killing, though, is his mother. And this also brings up another storyline that seems to have been thrown in there, but kind of just not at all explored or explained. It's like this weird Oedipal storyline that's going on. Terry seems to be triggered by the engagement of his mother and Brad. Brad ends up being his first target. At the end of the movie, when Maddie believes she killed Todd and is talking to Terry, she says some very sus shit.
I don't want to be with anybody else. We don't need anybody else. We just need to be with each other.
This is something that could have been used in the beginning as well. Maybe you could have shown Terry getting better treatment from Maddie growing up, and then Terry also using this and taking advantage and doing things to frame Todd. And it slowly builds up to him pinning the murder on Todd. And then the whole movie starts. I don't know. I just feel like that could have been explored more. And if that were the case, then Terry could have been the more superior villain, if it were done that way, I would say. But yeah, this is not to say though that you should be really looking at these movies that deeply, because I think they're both worth watching and they're both silly and dumb and mindless too. But my point was more in terms of comparing them. Of course, you can like one over the other. That's completely fine. I, on the other hand, think they go together. Home Sweet Home is the turkey to Blood Rage's cranberry sauce. But this brings me to the arts that I did create for the movie, and I did do it as a double feature because this video is a double feature. And again, just to reiterate that I feel like they need to be consumed together. Also, when it comes to the original artwork, I do feel like they're both quite good and similar. Similar color schemes, kind of themes going on. However, Blood Rage is visually compelling, I think, and less misleading. But that's really all I have to say, and I don't know about you though. I'm feeling tired. I think I'm gonna take a nap after that. I feel full. I hope you do too. I hope I filled you up real good. So, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time.